I think I've said this before, but the first time I introduced myself to Donovan Woods, I thought he was the roadie for Donovan Woods. I had no idea that the guy in the hoodie was, in fact, Donovan Woods. He has become a high-profile singer-songwriter. There's nothing flashy here. There's no costumes. There's no follow spot. Well, there might be. Sometimes it's just he and a guitar. But he has gone through 11 albums now. The 11th came out this year. It's called Things Were Never Good If They're Not Good Now. And because of an interview I did quite a number of years ago, I feel like I've been able to follow this story. You can see Donovan Woods in concert in Victoria at the McPherson, October the 3rd, the 5th in Vancouver, October the 6th, the Kelowna Community Centre, October the 8th in Edmonton at the Windspear, October the 9th at the Jack Singer Concert Hall in Calgary. And then he just keeps going. Donovan Woods, great singer, songwriter, fabulous voice, funny man. Here's what he does best of all. He's an exceptional storyteller, and he catches the small moments between people connected, people definitely not connected. He'll explain as we go. I'm Terry David Mulligan. He's Donovan Woods. That's about it in a nutshell. That's why we're here.
That's it.
I am delighted when the opportunity presented itself. I went, yes, I'm seriously in arrears. I want to get caught up with him and just see how he's doing. You know that old thing we used to do on the scale of 1 to 10? How you doing? How you doing on 1 to 10 currently?
Today I am doing I'm not very good today. Honestly, I'd probably maybe a 6 or a 7. I'm kind of in limbo waiting around to. I got all these flights booked. I'm worried that there's going to be the strike. I'm just sitting around wondering what's going
Yeah.
on. But I'm okay. Health-wise, I'm okay. Everything's all right.
Does the road still welcome you?
Yeah, I'm excited. I love it. I still love so many parts of it. But as you get older, it's like takes its toll on you for sure. But if it was easy, it wouldn't be cool. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be cool if it was easy. It's supposed to be hard.
Okay. It's October the 3rd. You're in Victoria. It's your opening night of your tour, 2024.
Yeah.
You're standing stage right. They announce you, and you take 15 steps to that microphone at the front of the stage. What's that journey like?
Oh, that really is that's the most sort of rewarding part. That feeling of like, especially I haven't been to Victoria, I haven't played in Victoria, for I think 7 years or something like that. And people are still buying tickets. It's great. It's like, so I'm in those moments, I'm just like, that's the most validation you get. I'll tell you, if you don't have a job where people cheer upon seeing you, it's, you don't really get the full spectrum of the human. It really is something. A whole room full of people does a bit of a little scream when you emerge. There's nothing better than that.
Of course, just keeping this in perspective, they can also boo and walk out. They can
Yeah,
throw
I suppose
things,
that's
right?
right. But they would do that later once they're not satisfied. At the beginning, it's all expectation, so it's all positive at the beginning.
The name of the album, the name of the tour, I presume, is "Things Were Never Good If They're Not Good Now." Did you change the tour name, or was that it?
Yeah, the tour's called the Living Well Tour.
Okay,
That felt like a long
yeah, that's
tour
true.
title to me.
It wouldn't look good on a poster.
No, no.
But can I add a secondary voice to that title? I rarely go near titles because they're truly well thought out before they ever get to me, and that is my life has always been. My thought is you have to work on good. Things were never good if they're not good now, and the key word is good. And somebody told me along the way, you have to work on the good part.
Oh yeah, no, I think that's right. I think like you have to train yourself to feel happy even. I think like that's kind of what I'm talking about in that title. I think you have to sort of recognize that happiness is a state that you can achieve. You're not just waiting around for wonderful things to befall you. You have to like go out searching for the things that are going to make you feel satisfied and make you go, oh, this is a nice evening. And if you go out searching for them, more than often you find them, you know what I mean? But that's so hard to do when you're young. You're just waiting for good things to happen. Now at this age, I'm like out looking. I'm looking at my bird feeder. If I see a nice bird, that's a good evening. I'm out there. I'm searching for these things. You know what I mean?
I wanna love you my whole life. Walk through the garden by your side. Outside the world is pouring by, and we'll sigh and we'll cry, but I wanna love you my whole life. I know you get so tired of me sometimes. I know you need a lot of space, and that's fine. And you say you would if things just don't go our way. What if we've never even known hard times? But what if we've hardly felt the sunshine? Maybe we've really only just begun. What if the only thing we don't know yet is how good it's gonna get? Oh, I feel grateful for all the nights. Oh, you've forgiven my prying eyes, and you sigh, and I cry out. I wanna love you my whole life. I know you get so tired of me sometimes. I know you need a lot of space, and that's fine. And you say you would if things just don't go our way. What if we've never even known hard times? But what if we've hardly felt the sunshine? Maybe we've really only just begun. What if the only thing we don't know yet is how good it's gonna get? I wanna love you my whole life. Walk through the garden by your side. Outside the world is pouring by, and we'll sigh and we'll cry, but I wanna love you my whole life.
We haven't seen each other since live at Railtown, Roundhouse Radio, and that's quite a while. You're a different person now. The guy that I talked to, I just went back and listened to it. The guy that I talked to doesn't. You have lift in your voice. There's a brightness in your voice.
Yeah. Yeah, that might be true. I mean, I think I was very depressed. I think in those days, I think I was very depressed. I don't think I really understood how not well I was doing at that age. I mean, I think I was fine, but I think I didn't see too many. I wasn't a very positive thinking person back then, and I listened to those interviews a lot, and I think, God, it's a lot of woe is me stuff in here, you know.
What kept you going?
I'm reminded all the time about how much, when like just yesterday, I wrote a song for the first time in a while. I could feel when I woke up, I was like, oh, if I try to write today, I'll do well. Just something and you can feel that you will. And I sat down and wrote something, and I felt instantaneously better about every aspect of my career. You know, you're worried about ticket sales, and you're worried about all these things. You're worried you've been out of the marketplace for too long. You're worried, and these things can compound. And with the internet, you can look at stats all day. You can stare at things all day and find numbers to worry about. And I remind myself all the time, oh, when I get caught in that, I'm just not creating enough. I'm just not making enough songs. So I think like every time I felt low about it, I'm just intoxicated by the feeling of writing a new thing that didn't exist before and a new thing existing in the world. And there's no better feeling. Like there's no better feeling. And I mean that by quite literally. I find it to be the most exciting feeling when you have a new song. So just chasing that over and over again. I don't think I'll ever stop, whether it is always my job, who knows, but I'll never stop that.
I saw a comment that was kindly sent to me that said, "You felt that this album is a farewell to the guy that I was. It's a new start." That sounds like an abrupt 180 or hanging a hard left, but it takes years to do that to get there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it took me a good 3 years of
Therapy.
thinking about how I wanted to do the next half of my life.
Yeah.
I think probably what could be described as a midlife crisis. I hope I'm a little early for a midlife crisis, but who knows? We don't know how long we get to go. But I think, I had a moment where I felt like, oh, I don't want to be this guy for the second half of my life. This is too tiring to me. It's not producing the results that I would like it to produce. And so I dove in and did therapy and, not like I was screaming and kicking most of it, but like I feel like a different guy now. I feel like I'm a
What
much more forward-facing person.
Donovan? What was the first song that you wrote that reflected that? Do you think of this group?
Oh, that's a good question.
Can I suggest one? I don't know if I'm right or
Yeah,
wrong. Living Well.
yeah, I think Living Well was certainly one of them. I'm trying to think whether it's that one or Rosemary. I feel like Rosemary was
Oh,
the sort
Rosemary.
of
Oh my God, I love Rosemary.
about that moment to me. But Living Well certainly is on the other side of it. Yeah, I think that there are two probably the most pressing examples of that.
Well then, Rosemary, in your pretty eyes, darling, I am always in the way of what you're wanting. Here this evening, with more than just my health, I arrive with all the trappings of myself. Hallelujah, she had found who she'd like to be. Now she's tugging at a sweater 'cause of me. Does it suit you hanging around, picking up for three? I suppose it must, I guess it does. Darling, are we okay? Well then, Rosemary, in your pretty eyes, darling, I am always in the way of what you're wanting. Here this evening, with more than just my health, I arrive with all the trappings of myself. I was always who you thought I was. I was always who you thought I was that day. Stacking up flatware, mixing up drinks. Later on in life we'll buy nice things. Heaven knows if a second home made of plywood, made of stone, make us feel more or less alone someday. Darling, can you wait till? Darling, are we okay? Well then, Rosemary, in your pretty eyes, darling, I am always in the way of what you're wanting. Here this evening, lose my health. I arrive with all the trappings of myself. I was always who you thought I was. I was always who you thought I was that day. I was always who you thought I was. I was always who you thought I was that day.
You know, most people that you and I know don't get a chance to express themselves like this, and frankly can't. They can't open them. They can't be vulnerable. They can't show this side of themselves. But but singers, songwriters, musicians, artists count on some of those expressions as their lifeblood. And some of them go head for the dark side and never come back. You know that. We know them all. It's just an openness to it, and it takes a while to figure out where that open door is and then walk through it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I grew up with a lot of people who I don't think have any space in their life to sit down and think about why they're acting the way they're acting. Do you know what I mean? Like I didn't often hear my dad, who was a great guy and was always great, but I didn't much hear my dad reflecting on why he was acting the way he was acting, or thinking about things through why am I upset all the time? Is it my outlook, or is it what's happening to me in life? I grew up around a lot of people who didn't have time to reflect or a space to reflect. So I think I think music is the place where a lot of people are able to do that. After work, when you put a song on in your car or whatever, you can have a little bit of space to sort out your interior. And I feel like that's all I'm making music for. I think when I think about it, that's what I most think about. I think about somebody putting on one of these songs when they're leaving work and feeling good. And I know it's not always the most feel good music, but it's like, to me, it's about sorting out your interior,
Well, I just realize I love that. I'm listening to the sound of your voice, and it's lifting my heart. It's fantastic. I'm so happy to get this done. I really am. When our friends come over, I'll just cut straight to it. When our friends come over with Matty Diaz, the unmistakable voice, that's a very different song, and it seems to have come from a truthful place. How did that happen?
Yeah, I mean, that's just like that's sort of in the realm of looking for good in your life and searching out those good things. I think like that was a feeling that I have felt many times with my wife when we have friends over. There is sort of like a lightheartedness that happens. You sort of enjoy each other more in the sort of reflected glow of company or something like that. I don't know what it is. When you have another couple over, they leave and you think, well, we're doing okay. Everybody, we're doing okay here. We like each other. We're doing okay. And I wanted to write a song that was that feeling, reflected that feeling. I didn't know exactly how to do it. And I, brought up that idea to Maddie. And like any really good songwriter, like Maddie is, you just go right at the idea. You just write directly to the idea. You don't dance around. You don't try to find you just write it, And that's sort of what that song is, just like a very step-by-step explanation of what that feeling is. And yeah, I think that may be my favorite one on the record at times. And I love that Maddie sings on it. And I love her verse.
You put your hair back the way that you had it when we first met. I found an old shirt buried way back in the closet. You laughed when you saw it. Now I'll get the folding chairs out of the basement. It only takes two to make our table feel crowded. But it's not the candlelight, it's not the wine that reminds me why I'm yours and what keeps you mine. Well, it's nice to see ourselves through someone else's eyes sometimes. You put your hand in my hand 'cause we sit closer when our friends come over. When our friends come over. You got the spotlight, everyone's paying attention. I've heard all your stories, but I still love to hear how you tell them. Little things you refine over time. I hear little footsteps in the hallway. You tuck them back into bed and we try to speak softly. But it's not the candlelight, it's not the wine that reminds me why I'm yours and what keeps you mine. Well, it's nice to see ourselves through someone else's eyes sometimes. You put your hand in my hand 'cause we sit closer when our friends come over. When our friends come over. It gets late, life is strange. We wake up and it's all changed. But it's not the candlelight. It's not the candlelight. It's not the wine that reminds me why I'm yours and what keeps you mine. Well, it's nice to see ourselves through someone else's eyes sometimes. You put your hand in my hand 'cause we sit closer when our friends if you keep your hand in my hand, we'll never get older. When our friends come over, you put your hand in my hand. When our friends come over, when our friends come over.
Actually, I like your future so much, it's hard for me to ask a question about looking over your shoulder, looking back. But are there some of those songs that we know you for? Are you not that guy anymore? Will you still sing them?
Oh, I'm always gonna sing them, but I do. There are, I mean, there are old ones that I feel very disconnected to. Of course, like they sound like the. I mean, there's really early ones that I know were not written about anything. They're written really only to showcase guitar and singing skills in the bars that I was playing them in. You know what I mean? I know they're not about anything. They're just like a way to prove that I could play the guitar and sing at an open mic. You know, so it's like there are ones that I feel pretty disconnected to from, but I'll always try to sing them if I can sing them. There's a few that I won't. I'll be honest. There's a few that I won't, but I'll try to do most of them.
I think your between song dialogue is going to be interesting on the tour as well. Um, uh, Another question. Don't talk to her at night. Written by Mark Hahn. Is that the first cover you've ever done?
Yeah, this is the first cover I've ever had on a record. Um, it's never like occurred to me to do that before, although my favorite records generally have a cover on them. You know what I mean? Like my favorite singer-songwriter records generally have one cover. It seems to be like a thing that a lost thing that they used to do that. They used to like do a cover on a record, you know. I know that Jason Isbell still does it sometimes. But so I thought, oh, it'd be great to just still to have a cover. And that's a song that was suggested but to me by well, I knew that song growing up. I mean, my dad and I used to listen to Mark Cohn in his car like crazy walking in Memphis, and he's got a song called Silver Thunderbird, which is like about as a perfect a song as you can imagine. They're in True Companion. He's got so many songs that are just like a real high watermark in terms of writing. He's just so clear and good. And that's a song we used to listen to a lot, my dad and I. And it was suggested to me by Randy Lennox, who was on my management team.
Uh,
And he brought that up, and uh, he was like, "What about a cover? What about a song like?" And that was the first one he suggested. And I went back and listened to it, and it really spoke to the place I was in and the way I was feeling. And I've always loved that song. And I just thought, yeah, that's it. He's right. It
He's
was
a good
quite,
songwriter. He's a
quite
good
brainwave.
songwriter. I was doing a conversation the other day, an interview with Joel Plaskett.
Oh, yeah.
And
Oh, that's fun.
This new album of his, soft. He's coming in your direction. It's beautifully soft, composed. And he was talking about language. He said, I'm working on the outer edges of language, which I still don't quite understand, but I do. I hear what he's saying to me. And he's finding new ways to express himself. Language is important. You talk about language a lot because you deal in it. Do you find that you have to feed the language, like through books, movies, etc.?
I think, yeah, I have to read a lot. And if I'm not writing a lot, I'm not reading enough, generally is my rule of thumb. But yeah, I mean, I think that's interesting. I'd love to talk to Joel about that. I'm going to listen to that interview. But I think I know what he's saying. I think like the my obsession with songwriting is language, is basically his language. Like I can talk about a thing I love is being somewhere else and talking about colloquialisms or regionalisms in those places. I mean, in
Sure.
Australia, I was just in Australia a few months ago, and the amount of like language, the amount of like dicing and chopping up they do of language in Australia is so fun. It's so fun to hear. They call, just off the top of my head, a gas station, they call it a servo, which is from service station. And they've shortened it to servo. So everything is a servo. Like a convenience store is a servo. Like just the way people are using language is so interesting to me all the time. I love that stuff. So I think like a lot of my ideas come from either some really interesting language that I've heard, or a lot of the ideas come from a place where there isn't any language. There isn't the words to describe what the feeling is. I think when our friends come over is a good example of like that feeling of liking your partner more after you have a party. You see them through someone else's eyes. There's no word for that. Like nobody has named that yet. So I think like when you hit upon something that doesn't quite have an articulation, trying to find that articulation is really interesting to me. Yeah.
He mentioned. I just dawned on me now. He mentioned he'd been reading a lot of Marshall McLuhan.
Oh, really
Yeah.
interesting. Well, yeah, I read some of that in university, but not. I gotta listen to that music. The edges of language.
Have you an open? You don't have to answer this if you don't want to. Have you left your addictions behind?
Yeah, yeah, I have. Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's what
For
I'm
about
seeing.
coming on 2 years now.
I'm happy for you.
Thank you. Thanks. Yeah, I feel good about it. I feel good.
Uh, was one six? No, it can't be. First time I ever talked to you, you were over top of a garage, and other people who've been there said, "Oh, that place. Yes, I remember that place." And then I see 116 West Main, Durham, North Carolina. So that's a completely different town. Durham's a gorgeous town, right?
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, I had no idea, but it was like it's like kind of a beautiful little college town. It's perfect. Yeah, I had a day off there on tour, and I walked around like crazy, and I had been looking for this book through. It's fun when you're on tour and you're looking for something like a book or something you're looking for. You're in a new city every day, so you can go to so many books that you can just find things. It's so fun. You wake up the next day and you're in another city. So I finally found this bookstore in Durham that had this book I was looking for, which is a book called Pond. The name of the author is gonna go away on me right now. Oh, I can't remember it. Anyway, it's called Pond. But I found it at that bookstore, and I was having such a nice day. And then I saw that bookstore and went in there, and there it was. I went back to the green room, and I just wanted to write a song about how nice it was to find that book. And that's basically what I'm talking about.
It's a good thing the days keep rolling over like they do. And it's a good thing there's a day off before the day of the show in the city where you live. like most of the men who came before me, my family, well, I likely keyed over the cornfield, thinking once of your face, once of your voice, and once of your heaving chest, and say I tried to be horrified by your eyes, tried to be satisfied with your eyes, tried to be less uptight around your eyes, tried, didn't I, didn't I, didn't I? And if ever my motivation should fall under some shadow of doubt, well, I tip my hat to the crowd, tip my servery will, and show myself out. And if ever I used to say, oh, I can't live without it, I used to swear I was born to do it. Hell, well, the next guy was too. And I tried to be horrified by your eyes, tried to be satisfied with your eyes, tried to be less uptight around your eyes, tried, didn't I, didn't I, didn't I, didn't I, didn't I, It's a good thing the days keep rolling over like they do. It's a good thing there's a bookstore by the stage door with a name I'm looking for.
And we have to ask ourselves, is it worthy to be human? With all our intellect, our emotions, our spiritual bodies, our souls, and as I believe we have a soul, to subject ourselves to some shiny object, is it worthy to be human?
By the way, just as an aside, I saw that you did your first tour of Australia,
Yeah, yeah.
and at the time I thought there's a man writing alone, a solitary room, working on a tune. He then travels to Australia. People have heard the tune, and he gets to sing it in front of thousands of people. It's such a diametric opposition between the solitary room thing, singer-songwriter working on the words and the melody, and then sharing it with people half a world away. It's just quite remarkable. It's a quite a remarkable life.
I mean, I remember the first time, quite honestly, the first time that I played in Victoria, the idea that people knew the songs blew my mind. And I was still in the same country, but I felt so far away to me. And I was like mind blown by it. And yeah, and the same thing happened the first time I went to the UK. But yeah, Australia, you know, and they all sang. Everybody was singing the words. And they're not shy about singing. There's something about my Canadian audience where everybody's a little bit too shy to sing along, or they want to be reverent, or I don't know what it is. But then when I go to the UK or I go to Australia, everybody's screaming along the whole time. But I don't know what Canada, we're a little bit, I don't know. Like I've heard people tell me that people are shushing each other in the crowd in Canada, which is like, well, we gotta lighten up a little bit, I think.
I want to ask you about all raked flat. Uh,
Yeah.
it stumped me. The title. The title gave me nothing.
Yeah.
Um, so paint that picture for me because it obviously set off something with you and the tune.
I have this co-writer that I love to write with, and he lives in Nashville. His name's Jake Etheridge, and he's a singer-songwriter uh, of his own. And he and I have written together, I want to say 4 times, and every single time I have put the song that we wrote on my record. I don't know what it is with he and I's connection, but we just like the things that we get into, I'm interested in them. And they were a song called Last Time I Saw You, a song called Read About Memory, and then this one, All Right Flat. I think there's one other one too. I can't remember what it is. There's one other one, I think. But there's something about the way his perspective that I love. And when I went over to his house that time, I was like, what do you want to write about? And he was like, I want to write about this. And he showed me a video of a backhoe taking down a house.
Mm.
Like just like a long YouTube video of a backhoe uh demolishing an old house. And I was like, yeah, dude, I'll write about that. And we just sort of thought about he just moved into this new house, and when they moved into this house in Nashville, somebody in the neighborhood brought him a book of every a city plan of every house that had ever existed on that lot. And there was like 8 of them. There had been 8 houses on that lot.
No.
It's just hard to even imagine. Um, yeah, there had been 8 different structures at one time or another on that
And those
one
aren't just
thing.
houses; they're homes. Those are that's where people had kids.
Yeah, and we were just thinking about that, thinking about the scope of time, thinking about like when you see that, how long things go on for, um, that your little worries don't seem so enormous. But yeah, that's sort of what we wanted to write about. And he and I have a way of sort of a lovely way of sort of triangulating a feeling, and it's just chasing a feeling, that song,
Okay.
just chasing, trying to capture a feeling.
Well, Donovan Woods. By the way, there's a question right there. When you were starting your career, quote unquote, air quotes, how many stage names did you think of before you decided to go with Donovan Woods?
It's my real name. There's no, it's my absolute real name. And to be honest with you, I wish that I had come up with I think of, I mean, I love to ask Joel that same question. It's like, I wish that, you know how Afi is Bahamas? I wish that I could be a project name. Because I'm so tired of my own name. It's so embarrassing to say my own name so much. Or like, even just, I wish that I picked a fake name because then I could separate myself from
The
because
guy.
people have an idea
Yeah.
of me in their head as a hat, beard, flannel guy, and which I am. I am that. But like I don't know. I just wish that I had a project name or something. But I didn't think to do that. And also I thought my name was cool, so I was like, no, I should use my own name. And I don't know. It's a regret.
Had there not been a Donovan singer, maybe you could have just been Donovan.
I know that's the thing, right? I mean, I think like I remember when I was younger, dreaming like, oh, I could be. When people say Donovan, they could mean me, but that will never happen. I know that now.
Okay.
He's-
This is a
I
pretty
think I wrote,
big. This is a pretty big basic question, but the audiences that you saw, the faces that you looked in Perth, for example, and the faces that you will see in Victoria and Edmonton and Calgary, where's their similar? Is it is it a gender thing? Is it an age thing? What are you seeing? What are you getting a sense of? Who now listens to you and comes to see you, and is a fan?
I am. It's different in all the places, interestingly enough. And I think like based on how my music came to those places, it's different. It's quite a bit younger in the United
Yes.
States and in the UK than it is anywhere else because they found it themselves. They found it through Spotify and through music curating sites themselves. And so the people in the UK and in the US are in their 20s, and their early 30s. And I think my audience in Canada is pretty squarely like having their kids age at this point. I mean, there's some young people, of course, that like me, but it's much older in Canada than it is anywhere else, which might explain why there's less singing. But definitely in Canada, it's much older. But it's like a straight down the middle gender mix in every place, interestingly enough. And I think sometimes the men who like me really like me. I think there are some casual woman fans, but the men who like me have really committed themselves to it in an interesting way. Because I don't think, I mean, it's a particular type of guy who wants to listen to this type of music. I don't discount that. And when there's a theater full of people, I think like this is a lot of people wanting to commit themselves to this level of emotional vulnerability on a Friday night. Like it's not a big tent. So I appreciate every single person.
Do you think that maybe you're singing and saying thoughts and feelings that they feel but that they can't get out of themselves or can't share? You're speaking on their behalf.
I think so. I think that's part of it. I think like they are, yeah, I think that's part of it. I wouldn't be so arrogant as to say that I'm their emotional leader or anything like that. But I do think that there is like, I mean, it sucks to say vulnerable things. It's not fun to articulate those things.
Are
So,
you
and I do think, and sometimes wives will be like, it really helps him. They'll rub his arm and say, you really help him, which is, it feels great.
actually, I don't think you'll ever really know the power that you have in some people's lives, and maybe it's good that you don't. That's a weight that you might not want to carry, but from what I can see, uh, I love the fact that you quietly are filling the pool so that people can rock their boat. Can just it feels like this is a voice I want to listen to. These are thoughts I want to listen to, and I try not to put too much pressure on you, the singer songwriter, but that's from this side of the camera. That's how it feels. You are the people come to you and they will stay with you. It's not a passing thing. It's not a drive-through audience. You go to a Donovan Woods show because you know these words, you know these chords, you feel things about. You share the emotions.
Well, you described the thing that I hope to be able to. I hope that's true. I mean, I appreciate those kind words. I hope that's true. I think like I hope that's the type of community that we can engender.
All right, those tour dates in front of you. Let's go through October 3rd in Victoria. Got that.
October 3rd in Victoria, and then we go to Vancouver on the 5th.
Yeah,
Then we go to Kelowna on the 6th,
yeah,
6th of October,
yep.
and then Edmonton on the 8th,
Where are you
and
playing?
then on the 9th.
Hmm?
Edmonton on the 8th of October, and then Calgary on the 9th of October.
Wonderful. And you go through places. I was looking at some of the rooms that you're playing. I think you get to Nashville and you're in the alley or in the basement or the basement. It's a basement room, but because space there is at a premium. But after all of that, after all of those stages, you finish the tour in Massey Hall.
Yeah, 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 yeah. There's some variance in these places. We're playing you know, I think in Philadelphia we're playing for 150 people. I think that's if it's sold out, it's 150 people in Philadelphia, and then 3 weeks later we get to do Massey Hall. So yeah, it's back and forth. It's a dichotomy.
Okay. Have you found happiness in your heart?
Yeah, every once in a while, I think when I remind myself that life happens through me and not to me, it's up to me to decide how it is rather than let life push me around. And when I can do that, I feel good. I gotta sleep a lot. I gotta sleep a lot. Yeah, we all gotta sleep more, don't you think?
I nap. I'm a napper.
Oh, it's
I can
great.
nap
We
on a
should.
dime.
Professional athletes nap, and that's not, what I mean, we should all nap as
Nap.
professional athletes.
Sometimes it's 20 minutes. Sometimes it's an hour and a half. Mostly it's 20 minutes, but I'm a great napper. Literally,
Oh, that's great.
while Meg is in Costco, I nap.
That's a great skill.
It is. You can't get paid for it. One more
Can't
one more
monitor.
track. I can't talk about them all because there's a lot of them. Trompsingle, which is a street in the Netherlands. That's what I found in Wiki.
That's right.
But what I liked about it most, not so much the title. The title drew me. I loved it reminded me of the Stan Getz sax solo in Walking the Wild Side.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of
Reed.
sax on that song.
It had that vibe to it. I loved it.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I appreciate that. There's a lot of saxophone on this record. We started to put it on a few things. We put it on 116 West Main as a pad under the chorus. There's just like kind of a pushing sax underneath there. And then he was like, "Can I just do some other stuff in the back end of the song?" And I was kind of like, I mean, I don't want to, let's not get crazy here. We're not like, what I mean? This isn't Huey Lewis in the News or whatever. What I mean? Like, let's relax. But then, but then he just started doing passes on and then we let him do passes on every other song, and it all stuck around. It's fun to record in that way, to have enough time to just get a whole bunch of stuff, and a lot of that saxophone stuff stuck.
I just want to say thank you for doing this. I appreciate it very much.
No problem. Thank you, Terry. I appreciate you having me. It's always a pleasure, of course.
Thank you, Donovan.
Don't talk to her when shooting stars are falling. Don't talk to her when she can smell the jasmine in the air. Don't talk to her when no one knows you're calling, 'cause you might just say the words that keep her waiting there. Don't talk to her when she is softly sleeping. Don't wake her to the sound of your voice whispering her name. Don't tell her all the secrets you've been keeping. Don't tell her that you're drowning in a river of shame. When the wolf is howling underneath the moon, underneath the window of a hotel room, burn the blanket, shoot the light. Don't talk to her at night. Don't talk to her at night. Don't talk to her in thunder or in lightning. Don't talk to her with fuses blown and wires falling down. Don't talk to her when the fever is frightening, when she's burning in the bedroom in an evening gown. Or when the wolf is howling underneath the moon, underneath the window of a hotel room, burn the blanket, shoot the light. But don't talk to her at night. Don't talk to her at night. Underneath the moon, underneath the window of a hotel room, burn the blanket, shoot the light. But don't talk to her